Go.
What's up, fight fans? Welcome to another edition of Split Decision MMA, your weekly MMA podcast, straight from the heart of the 209 in Modesto, California, coming to you live on YouTube. Something's going on with Facebook. Anyway, coming to you live from Modesto, California, here in the SinCal studios, inside SinCal Industries, your home for all your piercing, tattooing, smoking, accessory, vinyl sticker needs here in Modesto, California.
Nice.
We are bringing you all of the MMA news, forum readings, rumors, bar side talk, everything we can.
Yeah, no more water cooler.
There
are no more water coolers.
There's no more water coolers. You're talking a bar, right?
Right.
MMA news and information that we can from last week and, of course, this week going on leading into the fights. We have recaps of fights. There are no fights going on this weekend. There was one event that happened technically today.
We'll bring you up to date on that.
Usually there's a big Super Bowl fight or a card, but not this time. There's not going to be one. It's going to be next week, right? Next week is a big one, so maybe we're doing it after.
We were told last year that everything was going to start to space out and slow
readjust,
down.
Yeah. Split Decision is brought to you by healthlabs.com. That's healthlabs.com, providing you fast, private, and affordable blood work for MMA fighters for as low as $79. Order your test, choose one of the 4,500 local accredited labs, and get your results in 24 to 72 hours. It is that easy, no appointments needed, no insurance, no copay or hidden fees. Fast, affordable blood work at healthlabs.com. Healthlabs.com. Let's jump into the news.
There's no copay, but you do have to pay.
You have to pay, yeah. Just there's no copay. You don't have
Right.
to worry about copay fees.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
I've always said you had to pay.
All right.
It's as low as $79.
As low as $79.
Let's jump into the news. We were talking about Desmond Green. Desmond Green was fighting for the UFC for a very short time. He has been released. Desmond Green has been released. He's had a lot of issues lately. We know that last year, I think 2018, he had a DUI. We had last June, he had another DUI.
The guy, he's not doing well.
He's not doing well. Right now, he was arrested yesterday. His public records show that he was allegedly violating the terms of parole and is accused of felony driving without a license, his third offense. He now faces 21 charges.
Offense? So it only happened online?
Offense. He now faces 21 charges. Charges against him currently are, as per public records, possession of cynosilian, felony driving while license is suspended on 3 counts, possession of cannabis, 2 counts, DUI manslaughter, 4 counts, DUI serious bodily injury, 4 counts, possession of cocaine, possession or DUI property damage, 5 counts, and possession of drug paraphernalia.
4 people died?
Yeah.
I don't know how I missed that.
All the details have been just now coming out. Everyone's like, oh, he got into a DUI. Oh,
because I thought it was 1 or 2.
Yeah, oh, it had cocaine. Overall, everything is now coming back to bite him, and yeah.
Wow.
Not looking good. He last fought May of last year.
And again, I would just like to point out, we're reporting what's being reported.
Yes, these are public records. I mean, you can go look this stuff up.
Okay.
He tried to modify the terms of his pre-trial release so he could go to Tallahassee to compete in Valor Bare Knuckle. That was denied by the state. Eventually, that event got canceled anyway. He got released from the UFC and signed a contract with the ACA Fight League, which I don't know if that's going to be happening.
Yeah, I mean,
it just says that his fight will be announced later, but obviously he has a lot of legal issues he needs to take care of.
It's going to be really hard for a commission to give him a license.
Yeah, before any of that gets taken care of.
I mean, yeah.
Moving on from there, Bellator middleweight champion Rafael Lovato Jr. has now had to put his career on hold. Recently went on the Joe Rogan podcast and talked about some brain issues he had. He went to the doctor and they had scanned his brain as a normal testing as they do after winning a fight or even losing a fight. And his doctor told him that there were some strange-looking things in his brain scan, and that they were looking like that he has cavernoma. Cavernoma is abnormal clusters of blood cells in the brain. Can be tumorous.
Wow.
So he is going to be putting his
almost
career,
like little clots.
Yeah, going to be putting his career on hold while he gets this looked at, and he's going to be able to get this taken care of. Bellator says he will still remain the champ while this is happening, and they will be working with him on his future. So we'll see what ends up happening there with Bellator. Pretty scary stuff for the middleweight champ.
But we've come so far. In my circle of friends, we had somebody that was stage 4 brain cancer, told inoperable. They tried chemotherapy and a couple other things. To this day, almost, I think it's not even a full % there. You know what I mean? And it never fully goes away.
Yeah.
but it's not even
No signs.
It's not even
No
1%. Yeah, yeah.
That's great.
So I mean, we've come a long way.
In medical advances, yeah. Relson Gracie was arrested recently and charged with drug trafficking between Sao Paulo and Rio, Brazil.
No, you were supposed to do it big time, like breaking, unbelievable.
Oh, yeah. I mean, this is unbelievable. This was headlines for this whole week. People are talking about Relson Gracie. He's a drug trafficker. Relson Gracie, drug kingpin. We're talking Escobar, even though it was just weed. They suspected him of bringing marijuana from L.A., and then after speaking with his attorney and going through all the charges, everything has been dropped because the CBD products and paraphernalia he was using or brought with him were considered for medicinal use, which he has a permit for in both Los Angeles and in Brazil. Brazil is now a country that allows medicinal use of marijuana. He had all his permits. He had all his paperwork.
And when you're in a plane, isn't that like international water?
I think he drove.
He drove?
Yeah, you know, down a little.
Okay.
No, I don't know. He was driving from Sao Paulo to Rio, and that's where they busted him. But they felt that the marijuana he had to have been from L.A. because he also has a house there. Yeah. So I don't know. Anyway, all charges have been dropped. Relson Gracie is not a drug kingpin. Take it easy, Brazil. And take it easy on the headlines, MMA media. I know it's a slow week, but come on.
Yeah, but I mean that's anything anymore. With the
Man,
with
you
the
can
whole
take
with the
our
whole
podcast. We like to try to put as many news stories as we can to keep you up to date. So you're we're like a one-stop shop. You can just listen to us, get all the news that have been happening throughout this week. But I've seen literal like we'll talk about it here a little bit later. The Stephen A. Smith situation with Joe Rogan, right?
Oh, we're really going to talk about it?
That's the only fight we got going on this week. We'll get to it in a minute, but like they'll take line by line and make those each headlines so they could stretch a news story out for clicks, and it's ridiculous. Let's move on to former Strikeforce lightweight champion Josh Thompson has officially retired from MMA. Record of 22-9. The Punk fought in World Fighting Alliance, Strikeforce, UFC, and Bellator. He has said he is officially stepping away from competing in MMA. He's not even worried about trying to make that one big payday. He said he had one fight left on his contract. They kept thinking about it, and he said with Cerrone's loss recently, Gilbert Melendez's loss recently, and then he said even thinking about the tragic Kobe Bryant incident happened this past week. Just all these things kind of weighing on him. He thought, life's too short. I don't need to be doing this anymore.
Right.
He wants to remain an analyst, and he will for Bellator. He does a great job breaking down fights and a great job talking about fights. So yeah, good for Josh Thompson.
Yeah, his sarcasm.
I like Josh Thompson, man. I will
because he
say,
truly is. He's like a complimentary smartass.
As a 209 guy, I always support the Diaz brothers and the Scrap Pack with Gilbert Melendez and stuff. His rivalry with Gilbert Melendez was great, and then when he took out Nate Diaz, I cried a little bit. But I also respect Josh Thompson a lot, so I'm glad to listen to his commentary at Bellator. I really wish they'd pull him over for ESPN or for the UFC, but he's great at Bellator where he's doing. Moving on from there, we got two fighters now starting a new social media. We have Rowdy Bec and now Jessica Penne have started OnlyFans accounts. If you don't know what an
OnlyFans account?
Don't know what an OnlyFans account is, it is a subscription-based social media platform. Okay? It is primarily used in the porn industry. However, there are personal trainers out there right now using it as a way to give their subscribers like personal training videos where they can put together a workout for you and you subscribe $20, $30, $40
what better
$40
personal training video than porn?
It allows you to upload pictures and videos to your fans only. You have to pay a monthly fee to access it. Monetizing social media isn't new for anybody. I mean, this is happening on Instagram. You can get paid for clicks, paid for likes, paid for doing things like that.
I don't know. You had to explain this to me, so
I didn't
even realize it's so prevalent.
Felice Herriga's been doing this thing for a long time. She would sell calendars of herself. She'd sell signed photos of herself, something like that. So it's not like women's MMA stars have not done this in the past. This has just become a new platform. However, a lot of people obviously balked at the idea they're going to pay $20 for Rowdy Bec Rawlings.
Pixel says we have to sign up just for research.
And Jessica Penne. However, she has said multiple times it will not have any nudes, even though we do know that OnlyFans does have a lot of porn stuff. She claims there will be no pornographic content.
What about really thin clothing?
We've had right now, so far, there has been a couple people that have subscribed that have described the pictures to me. And there are some lingerie photos. There's some pictures of feet.
Egyptian footlocker?
There's but nothing, and she says there will never be nudes.
No camel hoof?
There will be no nudes. However, she does claim it'll be worth your $20. I don't know what that means. I don't know if
I had somebody tell me that at a truck stop, and it went weird.
I don't know.
It would totally be worth your $20.
I mean, we've had subscription-based social media before. What was that one? Score. Score. SPQR or SQR something.
SQR.
The one that went bankrupt, and then they had to sue Brett Favre and all this kind of stuff. Yeah, it's gone. that ended like 3 years ago. It's nothing new. We'll see. We'll see what's happening. This is the first 2 MMA stars that are on this. We'll see where it goes from there.
Pixel said we can write it off on our taxes.
Maybe.
We
have to be taking a profit in, which we don't do.
Yeah, we don't.
This show makes no money. Macy Barbour is continuing to blame her doctor, or excuse me, their in-ring doctor for her loss.
Why? Because he diagnosed an injury she did have?
Yeah. She says,
yeah.
I was doing everything to disguise the fact that I had been compromised. And I feel like the fact that the doctor completely gave that away,
compromised? Were
I
the
was dealing with
Ukrainians
something,
involved?
made my injury more prominent because I was trying to push it out of my head. And when he put it back in my head, it made the injury more prominent.
He didn't put it back in her head. He put her knee back in place.
She also said that I feel as if the doctor should have come up to me and asked me if I was good, listen to my response, and I've never seen anybody in the middle of a fight have their knee checked for stability by a doctor and then proceed to tell the ref and everybody else there was an ACL. But even though it was fine, I knew something was torn, but I didn't know for sure. I could have, I knew I could be in the fight, and then the fight was over, I would cry, and then I would deal with it. But now, he had to check me, and he put doubt in my head. Yeah.
Obviously, it was completely obvious to everybody, which is why the doctor went in and went straight to her knee. Does she not think about that?
Yeah, but
it's not like the doctor was like, fuck it, you know what I'm doing? I'm going to check her knee.
Yeah.
I got nothing better to do.
Right?
I'm just going to go in and check her knee.
She says that he should have never said anything if he was going to let her fight.
Didn't everybody see him grab her knee?
Yeah. I mean,
like he would have just, she's fine.
Yeah.
So her knee is okay? I can't tell you. But that's the only part of her body that you grabbed. I'm just saying.
She's fine.
She's fine.
She said that's another reason why Macy Barbour, just learn to accept the losses and move on. That's it. That's all I can tell you.
You don't even have to accept it. Just don't say anything. just keep it into yourself.
All built up in yourself.
And I mean, it's just like the story we're getting to here. Just keep it to yourself.
We're not quite there yet. We got a couple more before that.
Okay.
Couple more. Diego Sanchez has accepted a 3-month suspension from USADA due to finding Ostarine in his latest test.
How long is this going to go on to where we're given
only a 3-month suspension, which is pretty
That's
low.
what I'm saying.
And it's because of tainted supplements. They have proved that the Ostarine that was in his system was due to a tainted supplement. He's going to be eligible to fight now because he's already served his time, basically, because he didn't fight in the time that when they had found it. Yeah.
So again, how long is this filling out period going to take? Are we talking years of where we're going to allow people who knew that they shouldn't have something in their system, or they should be taken, or I mean, why even suspend somebody, especially if they stayed to the strict list that you told them to stay to?
Yeah, I don't know, man. This thing's pretty crazy.
Because I mean, really, what they're saying with 3 months is we have to have a written record of this, but you're not really in trouble, right? Because he doesn't lose any money. He actually, with a 3-month suspension, you don't lose any fight time.
True.
Because, I mean, other than Donald Cerrone, I don't know anybody who takes a fight within 3 months of the last fight.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. I don't know. They're obviously still working out the systems with USADA. They're still working out the drug testing. They're still trying to figure out this whole tainted supplement thing.
I just say we go back to no drug testing.
Just none, zero?
None. No, you don't like that?
I think you just have a whole league that's just no drug testing. We also have Curtis Blades coming off his big win. Is going to be having another bout coming up very, very shortly. We're talking like within the next 2 weeks. I think this is coming up like really, really soon.
Well, he won the way that he needed to win. He did
except he's going to be doing a sumo match.
In like the suits?
In the full traditional diaper garb.
Really?
We got Substars Jiu-Jitsu in Florida is putting on an event where they have a bunch of submission grappling, and then they also have Curtis Blades and Rumble Johnson competing in a celebrity sumo match, not against each other, but just in general. I think this is going down February 20th, 21st.
The general from the insurance company?
No, they got a guy that's like the heaviest sumo of all time, 600 pounds.
Yeah.
That I believe Curtis Blades is going up against.
Man.
So if you'd like to see some Curtis Blades, Anthony Rummel Johnson, sumo action, make sure you check out Substars. We also got...
I'm just interested to see Rumble Johnson's physicality in this huge frame he's put together.
It's going to be interesting. It's going to be real interesting. We also got going down in Florida. Kamaru Ussman and Jorge Masvidal had a nice meeting this week.
I like how you roll that. Jorge
Masvidal had a nice meeting this week at the NFL, the pre-Super Bowl event, right?
Well, yeah. Well, it's Radio Row. I mean, it's football week, I guess you would say.
It's football week.
It's football week.
It's Super Bowl week here, going on in Florida.
And we had it here in San Francisco, all the way to the Bay.
That's right.
It was awesome.
It's pretty cool.
Yeah.
They're doing this in Miami, Jorge's backyard, and apparently he confronted Kamaru Ussman. Kamaru Ussman tried to brush it off in his conversation with TMZ, but I got to see the footage that's behind Jorge Masvidal, and he just straight up walked up on Kamaru Ussman, who's like, "Whoa, where'd he come from?" Like,
I like when Ussman takes his little sun hat off. That's the equivalent of hold my purse.
So they got into a little bit of a argument. You can see that on YouTube, TMZ. I'm sure we'll put it up a little bit later.
I don't know.
Little confrontation.
I hit him, he hits me.
A little bit further.
People break it up.
People don't want to disrupt the herd.
Yeah.
Get one good shot in.
Yeah.
Fuck,
so no one broke it up.
I think that obviously they're building up to this fight that's going to happen. Dana White is definitely pushing for that fight. Kamaru Ussman against Jorge Masvidal for the welterweight title. Would this combine with the BMF title, right? I mean, technically Jorge Masvidal has it, so
this doesn't help Kamaru Ussman.
This is going to be like one of those titles that you can just kind of float around.
About the tweet thing.
No.
Because he's just proven that he kind of is a dick. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I understand. I just don't think he's dropping N-words and putting his bank account information up online. I still think the first one where he called him an Irish punk might be real.
No. So, again, Formlandia.
Yeah.
The whole point of putting all that other information later.
To make it look like the hack.
Exactly.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. I just don't think it's...
Okay.
And last little bit before we get into the Stephen A. Smith, Joe Rogan saga, we're going to get into this a little bit first. We got the new UFC rankings have slowly rolled out. As you remember, we've been talking about this for some time, that they needed to fix the rankings. We had new members of the media have been reached out to and were given a trial period after UFC 246 to put their rankings together. One of the things that they implemented, which I do like, we now have a women's pound-for-pound list. That's pretty cool.
Nice.
I'm actually really happy with that.
Because before we just had women making it onto the pound-per-pound list. Now we have a women-only pound-for-pound.
I don't think they were on there in general.
No, they were.
Were they?
Yeah.
I mean, I know about a week ago when they created this list and they created the other list, they accidentally released them together and it was really mixed and really weird.
Because I remember for a long time, Jezerjek was holding her place in the pound-for-pound.
Well, now we have a women's pound-for-pound list. And in the women's pound-for-pound, obviously we have Amanda Nunes as number 1.
Pound-for-pound, down round.
Valentina Shevchenko is number 2. Zhang Weili is number 3, and they go on from there. The other thing is that I've noticed... with these new panelists, first of all, no names are no longer listed. So if you wanted to check who voted for what and when, you can't do that anymore. And I'm pretty sure you know why.
Oh, yeah.
Because at least on this show, we've been talking shit about the rankings people for a long time. We've been saying that rankings should matter. That you need to get your shit together.
Bitch move.
And you need to make sure that you're voting the way you're supposed to be voting. I'm not saying you have to listen to the populace. I'm just saying think smart. If you're from Sweden, you can't vote Gustafsson as number 1 every single time just because you think he's your countryman. Okay?
Reminds me of the Germans in the Olympics.
You know what I mean?
Everybody else got 6s.
Yeah.
The Germans like 9.
You know what I mean? You can't do that kind of stuff. And so now that when we're able to see what you voted for, we're able to hold you accountable. You can't be like Steve Juan from Angry Marks saying, well, Conor McGregor needs to move up in the rankings even though he hasn't fought in 2 years because I saw him on TMZ recently.
Right.
He actually needs to have an actual fight. You can't say, well, he fought in boxing, so that helps the MMA rankings.
He's looking swole.
That doesn't work. Anyway, they took those out. You now just have a list of people that are being added. And actually, they took the list, and they won't give you the names of the guys who are voting, the actual reporters. They just give you who they work for.
Right.
The only problem with that is you remember those first 13
guys? A lot of those guys don't work for those people anymore.
Right. You remember those first 13 that we always constantly put up on there? And I'll give you that graphic. You can put it up now. Those first 13 are still there. They still get to vote. They didn't wipe the slate clean and get new voters. They actually took the original and added 8 more.
So this is like what they wanted to do with the
K1
judges.
Honolulu, MMA Odds Breaker, CFMU 93.3, Burka Sprak SE, Fight News, Fight Network, Gazeta Esportiva, Cherokee Scout, Burbank Leader, MMA Weekly, KZOZ 105, Vladu Sport, and Wrestling Observer are all still in the rankings, are all still making rankings. They have now added Top Turtle Podcast, My MMA News, our affiliate, which is one of the only legit ones in my opinion on there, not just because we're friends with them.
Right.
MMA Fight Radio.
The fuck is this Top Turtle Podcast?
I'll get to that. I got a breakdown.
Okay.
Boxeo Mundial, Kimura.se, MMA Soldier, MMA Niet, Bled and Sweat, and Inside Fighting Radio. So, couple things. Number one, MMA Niet is run by the same guy as Bergspracht SE. So he's now got 2 votes.
Or does he? Or they just
gave it to a different guy that still works for him.
Right.
But still, the thing that I do not like, and this is not trying to get all weird and like anti-European or some sort of weird integration thing. I just don't understand why MMA Niet, Kimura SE, and Berkesprach are all from Sweden, all share reporters, have 3 spots to vote.
It's just that they're...
So, Top Turtle Podcast. Part of the Flow Combat Network, Shockwave Dave and Daniel Vreeland. I like these guys. They do a pretty good job. Listen to their podcast. Flow Combat does some pretty good stuff. It's starting to go a little bit wonky at times, but there's still some good talent there, and these are guys that I think
I'm still waiting for Flow Combat to circle back, even though we've heard some bad things recently about people not getting paid and things like that.
I just would like to say Top Turtle Podcast are some people that I would probably respect their votes.
Okay.
We got MMA Fight Radio.
I should look into that.
MMA Fight Radio, run by Sean Dallas Hall out of Arizona. He is proudly proclaiming he is one of 13 members of the voting panelists on his website. I mean, it's like a big
That's
thing.
good. That's good. He's asking to be held accountable.
Boxing Mundial is a Latin American site, all in Spanish, heavily covers boxing and now MMA. Obviously, we got to have, you can't have just all American voters, so it makes sense. You know,
right.
Have a little bit. We got Kimura.se, the Swedish-based one. You got MMA Niet, another Swedish-based one with the same guy. Okay. MMA Soldier is a military-based MMA page ran by...
Dodge will beat a dead horse. I'm just telling you.
Ran by Rodney James, who is 2-1 in amateur MMA. He writes for Cage Side Press. He's
Rodney James Dio?
No, just Rodney James. He's a guy, again, that I would respect to actually vote properly. You got Blood and Sweat, which is a 100% Russian MMA-based page, which I couldn't read much of.
Are they the ones that stole our logo?
Even with Google Translate, they're not them. And then you got Inside Fighting Radio. The very last one is a Florida-based radio affiliate of 1230 The Zone. This is ran by Scott Liu, who was Joe Riggs' coach, friend, cornerman. Again, these are guys that I appreciate their opinion and think that they will do well for the rankings. Besides at My MMA News, we got Eric Kowal, president of that company there, who is a friend of ours and also does a pretty good job of putting out non-biased stories and rankings. I'm still interested to see what happens with this whole thing. Are the rankings going to get better? Only time will tell.
It's...
Unfortunately, we can't hold everybody personally accountable anymore.
At least the pool's going to get diluted.
The pool's getting a little more diluted, so we'll end up seeing what's happening that. So far, nothing...
Eric Cowell needs to chlorinate that pool. That's what you need to do.
We'll see what happens with the shifts in that ranking pool, and hopefully things will get righted. It does still surprise me that big MMA guys like MMA Junkie with Morgan, John Morgan there, guys from even ESPN with Brett. You got Yahoo News, Kevin Ioli, like big reporters and guys that follow the sport quite a bit. I'm still a little surprised that they are not taking part in this. And again, from what I've been told, it's the same reasons from the beginning until they see that it does not affect guys' contracts, pay-per-view money, all this kind of stuff. They kind of want to hold back. They were told even by some of their CEOs of those companies, you're not allowed to participate because it does those things. You're affecting these fighters' salaries. You're affecting their livelihood. Until we know that Ari and Endeavor are not going to do the things that Dana was doing, we're pulling guys out of rankings because he didn't like them this week.
But the sad fact is...
they were up for contract negotiations. If this does not happen anymore, maybe we can right the ship.
But the sad fact is some of their reporting affects these guys' salaries already.
For true. Very true.
You know what I'm saying? Just their reporting alone.
Very true. And then we have, let's get into the big fight of the week. We got Joe Rogan and Stephen A. Smith going on. We have posted a couple times on this. We spoke a little bit about it last week, obviously right after.
I thought it would go away.
I thought it did. I thought it would too. I really did. Stephen A. Smith obviously said the things that he had said about Cerrone, saying that he was disgusted with his performance, that he feels that he quit and gave up, and all this sort of stuff. It started with Joe Rogan. Joe Rogan on his own podcast basically had said that he was criticizing his thing. He said, there's no way that you could tell me that he's a quitter, that he thinks that guys like Stephen A. Smith that basically talk shit and do it well and are good for maybe radio shouldn't be commentating on MMA, that there are other guys like Daniel Cormier, like Josh Thompson.
And like we said, when he's used to talking about one member of a team, and you can kind of get away with that because players don't really follow up or really take it to heart when someone comes down on them. But when you're talking about one person who represents himself or their team, the one person.
Yeah, and like he said, there's no positive in downplaying the career of Donald Cerrone and what he can do as a fighter. There's no positive of that, and he said that he felt that he was a bad look for ESPN to put him on as a commentator when there's people that can do this. There's plenty of people out there who can understand the sport. There's plenty of them, and the thing about him is he's very popular. He just got his new contract extension. He's a fun personality. I get it. He's a fun thing to watch. I just think that MMA is not the place for him, and it's not the same thing as before. Stephen A. Smith, completely missing the point. Not even really listening to the words that Joe Rogan said, went on Twitter, said that he has mad respect for him, but that he's wrong, and that he said that Stephen A. Smith being at the Conor McGregor fight and saying what I said is good for the sport. He said ESPN is good for the sport. Check the numbers, check the subscribers. It's good for the sport. Stephen A. Smith, he wasn't talking about that. He was talking that you diminishing comments that you gave against Cowboy's career, that was bad for the sport.
Yeah.
He then admits, he says, I do not claim to be an aficionado like you or anybody else covering the sports, but I have 25 years as a reporter covering sports in a variety of competitive levels. That includes boxing and the UFC.
And that gives you carte blanche to talk shit about anything, right?
So I don't care.
Like he could talk about Ramsey.
Now, this is the part that I understand, is he says, I don't take much to look at it doesn't take much to look at the 3 shoulder shots to the nose that McGregor gave Cerrone and watching him fold in 20 seconds, knowing that he only got 1 strike off. It does not take much for me to look at that and say, excuse me, I didn't see enough from Conor McGregor that would convince me that a rematch with Nurmagomedov or a match with George Masvidal would cut it. That's what I would say. I'm not here. I didn't see any of those things. So in that sense, I would agree with Stephen A. Smith. You're right. In the 40-second fight that Conor McGregor had, if you were just tuning in to watch Conor McGregor and you go, I want to see what this guy's about, and you watch 40 seconds and he wins, that doesn't tell you, is he ready for a rematch?
No.
That doesn't tell you. But that's not what you said in the original broadcast. That is not what people were upset about. People are upset because you diminished Cowboy's career and acted like he didn't do anything in his career, and then it wasn't. He also said it was Cerrone's first pay-per-view match, which it wasn't.
No, I know.
First pay-per-view title, yes. Or, main event, yes. Conor McGregor immediately went on the Twitter and said, look, with all due respect, the call you discussed is A+. I did not show enough. You're right. I'm not paid by the hour, though. Joe's comments come from you saying the opposition fighter quit. Broken nose and orbital say different. Fighting is vicious. Those who walk the walk deserve full respect. Apologize. I would agree with Conor McGregor here.
Right.
Again, and he's pointing it out. You're missing the point, Stephen A. You need to understand he wasn't talking about that. He's talking about you saying that Cowboy Cerrone quit. He responded to that. Stephen A. said, much respect to the notorious Conor McGregor. My recollection is I said the way that it looked is that Cowboy Cerrone, we know that Cowboy is a top perennial 10 fighter. Much respect to him, but I don't think it's unfair to say that more than 40 seconds was expected from a tough SOB. Nor do I think it's wrong to assume there's no way a 40-second fight would take place against Masvidal or Nurmagomedov. Props to you. And he just keeps going on and on and on.
Has Stephen A. Smith ever had a broken nose?
Again, then you also have that horrible boxing footage that was released from Stephen A. Smith.
Why did he let that happen? Did he think people were going to be like, oh, shit?
Oh, shit. He then told Joe Rogan, anytime you want to talk to me about this fight or about my credentials or discuss something in the world of sports, you name the time and place, and I will show up.
Did he say that quote that's been going around? Let me make it clear if this right connects with Joe's face.
I don't think so, no.
No?
I'm pretty sure that was a misquote of a mashup of what he sounds like he's saying and Conor McGregor making that statement against another fighter.
Right.
And they kind of put it out there. At first I saw it too, and I was like, what the fuck is he challenging Joe to a fight? Bro, we were supposed to have Joe Rogan versus Wesley Snipes back in the day. It didn't happen. Right. I would watch the shit out of Joe Rogan beating the crap out of Stephen A. Smith.
Yeah. I would take Joe Rogan with his left hand in his pocket against Stephen A.
I would, all day. Chael Sonnen says, to act as though the analysis he gave as a viewer who witnessed something, he's right. Nobody was insulted. Somebody here was misinterpreted, and that misinterpretation was Stephen A. People owe him an apology. Nate Diaz slid on there and said Rogan and Conor should give Stephen A. an apology. He said what it was. The fight was over before it started. Get off each other's nuts. Again, over Nate Diaz's head, unfortunately. Rogan finally was able to respond again. He says, well, I think the problem is Stephen A. is a very entertaining guy, and he's very knowledgeable about other sports, but this is not in his wheelhouse.
Not even close.
And at the style of dismissing athletes and the diminishing style of putting people down and how he made his name is fun to listen to, and he talks great shit, but it just does not belong here. He said, I was upset at Stephen A. Smith for he made the video responding to me. And listen, I guess I should respond. You're very entertaining. I like you a lot, and I appreciate the props, but you're wrong.
Right. And I mean, this is just something that he should just take his lumps and walk. I mean, and again, I'm going to go back, and a lot of people don't know, but when Howard Cosell used to come out and say things about football, people were like, Howard, you don't know your ass from a hole in the ground. And never did he rebut, never did he come out and say, look, I'm defending myself. No, Howard Cosell just continued to do what he did.
Continue to do his job, right?
Right. Yeah. So I don't understand. We're in this era where so what if Joe said some shit about him? Joe also lets people buy into the fact when Eddie Bravo's on there that there may be a flat earth. You know what I'm saying?
I feel like the thing is, again,
just take your lump, man.
I agree with Joe Rogan that Stephen A. has made a career of kind of talking shit and getting loud and being in somebody's face and having people disagree with him. That's kind of his thing. But so is
Skip Bayless, Sterling Sharp.
But and I think that's the part that now that somebody called him out, he just thinks, oh, okay, this is part of the show, right? We're going to continue to go back and forth.
No, and it's not.
It's good for TV. It's good for Twitter. It's good for ratings. It's good for conference.
But it's not, because at some point, Joe Rogan's going to slap the shit out of him.
I don't know how it's ever going to be physical. I just do think there's enough people out there that would make better commentators for the sport of MMA. I would even appreciate Max Kellerman. He knows a little bit more about boxing. It's interesting. I think there's, again, I would rather have Josh Thompson. I'd rather have DC. I would rather have, Chael Sonnen, Ariel Helwani. I mean, there's plenty of guys that cover the sport and have been covering the sport for a long time that could be having this conversation with Joe Rogan on an ESPN broadcast. That we don't need Stephen A. Smith.
Yeah.
Just flat out what I said before. So we got two recaps to get into. We got Bellator. What is this? Bellator, what was it?
238.
238. Bud versus Cyborg. Did we already cover this?
No.
We haven't covered this.
No. It just happened last weekend.
It just happened last weekend. We have on your undercard, Aaron Pico got the win over Daniel Carey with a knockout in round 2. We got Sergio Pettis making his debut, gets the win over Alfred Kazakhstan with a technical submission, a guillotine choke in round 1. Darren Caldwell gets the win and wins the Bellator Featherweight Grand Prix. Quarterfinal. We're only in quarterfinals. Darren Caldwell over Adam Borix. And then Chris Cyborg becomes your new women's featherweight champion, defeating Julia Budd. TKO punches.
Huge battle. Huge battle.
Back and forth battle. I loved every minute of it.
Oh, yes.
It was great. And she now is someone who has had women's titles in Strikeforce, Bellator, and the UFC.
Right.
Pretty impressive.
And I believe it's a fight that needs a rubber match.
Give him time to heal. I would love to see a rubber match.
Yeah,
I definitely would enjoy that for sure.
Yeah, but I'm with you. I was highly entertained.
And Invicta. That's right. Invicta, Bellator, Strikeforce, UFC. Lots of belts there for Cyborg.
Yeah.
Highly entertained. Great.
Yeah, but don't take nothing away from Julia Budd.
No, Julia Budd is
just the fact that it went 4 and it was the war it was.
Yeah.
She is.
I would like to see a rematch.
Yeah, she's way more legit than the girl from Australia. You know what I'm saying?
We have ESPN. Let's see, what is this? UFC Fight Night 166. UFC on ESPN Plus 24. UFC Fight Night Blades versus Dos Santos. UFC Fight Night UFC Raleigh.
Nice.
All happened at the same time.
At the same time.
Because it's the same event with a million names.
In a parallel universe.
Over the weekend. And, of course, this was
Imagine
on
if you
ESPN Plus. You have Herbert Burns gets the win over Nate Landwehr. Brett Johns gets the win over Tona Gravely. Sarah McMahon.
That was nice.
Over Lena Landsberg. Montel Jackson over
I
Felipe
can't believe
Corrales.
that McMahon had to go to the decision.
She looked pretty dominant.
But it's still, why?
Yeah, why she couldn't put it away.
Yeah.
Justine Kish has no crappy problems putting away UC Padova. Arnold Allen gets the win over Nick Lentz. Bevan Lewis over Daquan Townsend. Jamal Hill over Darko Stosiak. Angela Hill gets a nice win over Hannah Seifers with TKO, elbows, and punches in round 2.
I thought she was going to get done in the first. But
I thought she was too. She was pretty close. Alex Perez over Jordan Espinoza. Michael Chizia getting unanimous decision over RDA Rafael dos Anjos.
He, and you can tell by the score, he came out real hard in the first.
Real strong in the first, laid back a little bit in the second, and then finished out making sure he got the win.
You think when he sat down after the second, they're like, you got this?
I just think you just don't blow your load in the first round. Like, make sure you have enough. This is still
because he was on point. He was very accurate. Yeah.
Curtis Blades getting the win over Junior Dos Santos. TKO
I'm glad.
Round
Big
2.
clap for Blades, man. You got it done the way you needed to get done.
Very good.
I didn't want to see a decision.
Where does Junior Dos Santos go for here? This is now 2 KOs in a row. Now, mind you, you're going against 2 heavy-handed guys. His last loss over from Francis Ngannou. Obviously, this one with Curtis Blades. He has hung in there with guys like Derek Lewis and Tai Tuivasa. Lost to Stipe, lost to Overeem.
And I'm hearing the next time we see Ngannou, we're going to see this totally different fighter.
Supposedly, he's completely changed his camp.
Yeah.
But I'm interested to see, besides the sumo match, where Curtis Blades goes from here. And that is it. That is your week of fights. That is your week of news and rumors. Anything you need to throw at me?
No, man.
That's it, right?
Yeah.
You got it.
I think we wrapped it up, especially not having any
no
fights.
fights this weekend. There's plenty of fights next weekend. We'll talk to you after
Go
the big
Kansas
game.
City.
After the big game. We can't call it what it is, apparently. That's illegal. But as always, we're brought to you here by Health Labs.
The Superb Owl.
The Superb Owl is my favorite.
The Superb Owl.
Superb Owl. Healthlabs.com. Healthlabs.com, providing you fast, private, and affordable blood work. Make sure you go to healthlabs.com and Dependable Solutions. If you are a business, you are taking credit cards, you need to do yourself a favor. Go to dependablesolutions.com. Have them appraise your situation. They could save you up to 70%.
Yep, right here.
70% on your credit cards.
That's where you want to.
They're innovating the future of your business.
That's where you want to log on to.
.net. Make sure you check them out. As always, Walkie Craft and SimCal Industries here in Modesto, California. You guys have a good night. I'll see you at the fights.